This TFMR podcast is brought to you by your friends at JM Bullion. Visit jmbullion.com for all your gold and silver bullion needs. Welcome back to your TF Metals Report podcast highlights for the week of Monday, March 21st, 2022. Of course, this is designed to give you just a kind of a sample of what we do at TF Metals Report. Every day there's a morning summary of overnight events and the news of the day, and every afternoon there's a podcast summary of everything that's taken place, where we update the charts and talk about everything from gold and silver to the mining shares, the markets in general, including the bond market, the stock market. If you're going to track gold, you got to track everything. We are the eyes and ears to the world of our members so that they can worry about everything else going on in their lives. It's just $15 a month, and you should consider joining us. A link to our subscribe page with a video that tells you about the site is right here on this podcast page or YouTube channel. Please check us out. As the week began back on March 21st, we're coming out of a pretty tough week for the precious metals, but we figured things were starting to turn around, and we knew it was going to be a very interesting week for silver, as some key technical advantages were looking to be coming silver's way. So that's where we started the discussion back on Monday, March 21st. Again, this will be the very interesting thing as we go into the latter part of this week. Notice the blue line, the 50-day, is just about to cross bullishly the 200-day. Now, notice when it bullishly crossed the green line, the 100-day, look how price went from $25.50 to $27.50 in a couple days. Now, again, there were a lot more going on than just this technical factor. But getting above the 200-day might create enough of a pop that later this week we can get above 26, maybe 26.25, something like that. And then we'll see what happens as we get close to option expiration day next Monday. But anyway, we'll watch that, because maybe by Wednesday or Thursday those will cross, and maybe we can get a pop up there north of 26. On Tuesday, March 22nd, one of the charts we discussed was a plot of gold and crude oil prices together. This is a chart we've been following for a couple of weeks now. Prices rose together and then fell sharply together, and we're trading pretty much tick for tick until Thursday, the 17th. Crude continued higher, but gold did not. Why would that be? One of the things we discussed on Tuesday, March 22nd. Well, then look at how gold has been trading with crude oil. I've been talking about this for a couple of weeks too. Gold very rarely trades tick for tick with crude, but coming out of the end of January, that last FOMC meeting, gold started moving higher and crude did too. And notice by about maybe Valentine's Day, shortly before there, notice the blue line goes up as the candles go up and down. Then after about maybe middle of February, gold starts going up while crude's going sideways. They both spiked together on about the 24th, the day Russia invaded Ukraine. And then by the 1st of March, now all of a sudden it's tick for tick. Gold's going up and crude's going up as well. And then when they get capped and smashed backward 2 weeks ago, beginning 2 weeks ago, really tomorrow, gold falls and crude falls. All the way into last week's FOMC. Then all of a sudden gold begins to rally again. And crude begins to rally right to that point where I drew that purple line. That is back last Thursday, St. Patrick's Day. Gold had gotten to 1950. Crude's up there about 102, 103. And then what happens? They've completely broken apart. Again, going back to the 1st of February, they're moving up together, sometimes tick for tick. On this chart, the blue line often above the candles. The blue line was still above the candles as recently as Thursday. And then bang, now all of a sudden gold only trades off at real interest rates again? Come on, man. You've got to know there's a lot more going on than that. So if gold had simply continued with crude, where would we be right now? I don't know, 1960, 1970, maybe near 2000? Where all those calls are that I said, where finally you get the skew of more calls than puts? But instead, gold's about $80 lower. On Wednesday, March 23rd, a lot of stuff going on in the markets. We thought we'd close with some good news, some charts that looked really solid. We were talking about the GDX, the big ETF of gold miners, but then also one specific gold miner that I've owned for a long time, Newmont Mining. both charts look pretty solid, and that's indicative not only of gains ahead for the shares, but what that implies for the metals. Okay, I promised I'd save the best for last. GDX today, like I said, up 96 cents, 38.72. What's the significance of that? Well, on that day, 2 weeks ago, yesterday, when gold got to 2080, everybody was all excited, or 2070, whatever it was. And then remember, we got reversed and smashed, tried to rally again at the end of the week, and then they pulled the rug out from under us last week. Well, that day, that Tuesday, 15 days ago, we closed at 38.65. We closed today at 38.72. We are very close to the highest close that we've seen in the GDX since last June, up near 39.40. Okay? Notice all of the green candles, really since the 1st of February, but since the middle of February. Notice the moving averages. 50-day above them all. Uh-oh, look at the 100-day. 4 cents below. It is going to bullishly cross the 200-day tomorrow, and you're going to have that bullish configuration. This chart looks great. Again, look at all those green candles. Even while they were smashing us last week, GDX looks like it really wants to move higher, which obviously is good for gold prices too. And finally, look at this one. There's Newmont. I hope you own some Newmont. I own some Newmont. Have owned it for a long time. Newmont, new all-time closing high today, 78.91. Higher than it was a couple of weeks ago, higher than it was back in 16 or 2011. New all-time closing high in Newmont. Again, that's a pretty damn good looking chart too. Looks like it wants to go higher too, which is reflective then good for the GDX, which is good for gold. All of this ties together. That's a beauty right there, and I'm glad I own it. On Thursday, March the 24th, we finally got that bullish cross in COMEX Digital Silver, the May contract, the front month. The 50-day moving average moved up through the 200-day moving average. That's always a good sign technically, and it seems as if the trading machines, are programmed to recognize that positive technical signal. And man, did silver ever take off. At one point, it was up a full $1 on this technical development. We've been looking for it for over a week, and it finally happened. Thursday, March 24th. Silver also, same thing. I mean, you go back to March 4th or whatever that is, when we closed about the same level, 25.80. I mean, the RSI that day was 67.68. Today, it's only 57. Note what happened yesterday. The blue line crossing up through the red line. That is a bullish cross, and so boom. Big rally of at least really $1 from the lows of yesterday to where we are now, even on a pullback 30 cents from the highs. So this is a pretty solid chart too. Again, 26, the key level we're going to watch into the close tomorrow. And a couple of things as the week draws to a close on Friday, March the 25th. Be sure to stop by TF Metals Report on the homepage. Your free Thursday conversation is with Keith Neumeyer. Keith, of course, President and CEO of First Majestic Silver, longtime friend of the site. Always good to hear from him. He had a lot to say. You're going to want to listen to that podcast, again, for free for all, right on the TFMR homepage. As we go to wrap up the week, we're hanging in there in the precious metals. Could have been a lot worse today on Friday the 25th, as the bond market once again is sharply settling off with nominal rates much, much higher. But the metals are hanging in there. Like I said, they could have been a lot worse. And so far, with just a little time left to go into the close, gold's only down $6. Silver's only down 26 cents. It looks like silver will not close above 26, but it will close above 25.50. That's an important level. And that's your final chart of the week, as you can see here on this page. Getting above 25.50, holding above there is a very good accomplishment here in this week. And now we'll get into next week with all the April expirations, the end of the quarter. It's going to be a busy week too. So be sure to check back next Friday for your next edition of the TF Metals Report podcast highlights. Thanks for listening.